The sun barely pierced through the thick dusty clouds over the mining city of Krython. Rusted metal structures stretched endlessly, forming a maze of narrow alleys and crumbling buildings. Smoke rose in twisted plumes from factories and refineries, mixing with the bitter scent of machinery and dust. Among this chaos, a young woman named Lyra struggled to keep moving. Lyra had once known a different life, one with warmth and laughter in her small family home. But tragedy had come swiftly. A mining accident had claimed her parents, and soon after, corrupt local officials seized what little wealth her family had left. The city was no longer a place of opportunity, it was a trap. Every corner hid danger. Every shadow held the possibility of theft or worse. Lyra moved quickly through the alleys, her bare feet slapping against the cracked pavement. She carried a small satchel containing whatever scraps she could trade for food. A few metal gears, a faded piece of fabric, and a small pouch of dried herbs. Hunger gnawed at her stomach and her throat burned with thirst. Still, she pressed on because stopping meant vulnerability. She paused briefly near the remnants of an old marketplace. Broken stalls leaned at odd angles, and overturned crates lay scattered across the ground. In the silence, she could hear the faint hum of distant machinery, punctuated by the cries of workers laboring under harsh conditions. Lyra sighed and adjusted her satchel. Even here, in the neglected outskirts, survival required constant vigilance. Today, she hoped to find some discarded supplies near the collapsed sector at the edge of the city. The area had been damaged by a recent tremor, and buildings there were unstable. Few dared to enter, but Lyra had no choice. Her stomach demanded risk. As she stepped closer, her heart skipped a beat. A wooden beam had fallen across the narrow street, its weight pinning a small cart beneath it. The cart wobbled dangerously. Instinctively, Lyra rushed forward to check if anyone was trapped. From beneath the debris, a groan echoed. Her eyes widened. A small boy, no older than 10, struggled to lift the beam. Lyra's hands shook as she joined him. Together, they pushed with all their strength. The beam finally shifted and the boy scrambled free, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you," he whispered, voice trembling. I thought I was done for." Lyra smiled faintly, brushing the dirt from her hands. "Be careful," she said softly. "The city isn't kind to those who aren't." As the boy ran off, Lyra noticed movement near the edge of the collapsed sector. Dust kicked up from the rubble and a faint voice called for help. Without hesitation, she sprinted toward the sound. Her boots slipped on loose gravel, and she nearly fell several times, but determination pushed her forward. There, beneath the remains of a half-collapsed building, she saw him. A figure trapped under heavy debris, a man. His uniform was torn, revealing a glint of metallic insignia she had never seen before. He groaned in pain, trying to move, but the weight pressed him down. Lyra's heart pounded. She had never seen a human soldier before. "Hang on," she shouted. "I'll get you out." She grabbed a sturdy piece of metal and wedged it beneath the rubble, levering it carefully. Dust filled the air, making her eyes water. Slowly, the debris shifted and the man's arm emerged. He gasped, coughing. Lyra pushed harder, straining against her own weakness, but she refused to give up. Finally, with one last heave, the beam rolled aside, freeing him. The man lay on the ground, breathing heavily, his eyes scanning the scene. When he saw Lyra, he managed a weak smile. Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse. I didn't think anyone would help me." Lyra shrugged, brushing dust from her clothes. "No one deserves to be left behind," she replied simply. "Not even soldiers." The man attempted to rise, wincing as pain shot through his leg. "I'm Aaron," he said, extending a hand. "Captain Aaron Rains, human peacekeeping force." Lyra blinked. "Human?" she asked, curiosity mixed with awe. She had heard stories of humans, travelers who crossed galaxies helping those in need, but she had never met one before. "I'm Lyra," she said quietly. "I live here." Aaron studied her with careful eyes, noticing the dirt-streaked face, the thin frame, and the determined gaze. "You're brave," he said. "Most people would have run." "I don't have the luxury of running," Lyra replied. "Life doesn't wait." Aaron winced again as he tried to sit up. "You're stronger than you realize," he said, a hint of admiration in his voice. I could use someone like you." Lyra felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. She had survived by herself for so long that relying on anyone felt unnatural. "I don't know if I can trust you," she admitted. "The city, it teaches you not to." Aaron nodded, understanding. "I don't expect trust right away," he said gently. "But I promise I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to help if you'll let me. For a moment, Lyra hesitated. She wanted to believe him, but caution held her back. She glanced around, seeing the danger in every shadow. The broken structures, the unstable ground, and the watchful eyes of the city's enforcers. All right, she said finally. I'll help you, and maybe you can help me too. Aaron allowed himself a faint smile. Deal, he said, testing his injured leg. But first, we need to get you somewhere safe. This sector is too unstable. Together they navigated the rubble-strewn streets, Lyra leading the way with a knowledge of hidden paths and shortcuts. She brought him to a small abandoned building she sometimes used for shelter. The interior was dark, dusty and cold, but it was safe from prying eyes. Aaron leaned against the wall, catching his breath, while Lyra prepared a small corner with blankets and scraps to make him comfortable. You don't have to do this, Aaron said, watching her work. You could leave me. I couldn't, Lyra replied firmly. If someone had left me, I don't know what would have happened. She paused, her gaze distant. I've seen enough suffering to know what it feels like to be alone. Aaron nodded, understanding the weight behind her words. We'll make sure no one else has to feel that way, he said. I can't fix everything, but I can protect those who need it. Starting with you. For the first time in many months, Lyra felt a spark of hope. The hopelessness that had settled in her chest, heavy and unyielding, began to loosen its grip. Maybe, just maybe, things could change. As night fell over the city, the two of them sat quietly in the abandoned building. Outside, distant sirens and the hum of machinery filled the air, reminders of the harsh world waiting beyond their shelter. But inside, there was a fragile sense of safety. Lyra studied Aaron as he carefully examined his injuries. She noticed the calm determination in his eyes, the way he refused to complain despite the pain, and the quiet courage in his actions. She had spent her life watching others fight and fail, but here was someone who faced danger without fear, yet with care for others. You're different from them, she said softly, breaking the silence. The others, the soldiers I've seen before, they didn't care about people like me. Aaron's gaze met hers, steady and sincere. I know, he said. And I'm not like them. I don't fight for power or control. I fight for life, for hope, for people who deserve a chance. Lyra nodded slowly, absorbing the meaning behind his words. In a world filled with cruelty and greed, meeting someone who genuinely cared felt unreal. Yet the warmth spreading through her chest was undeniable. The night grew darker and the city seemed quieter. For the first time in years, Lyra allowed herself to rest, leaning against a wall with Aaron nearby. She knew that the morning would bring challenges, danger, and uncertainty. But for this night, she could feel a glimmer of hope, a fragile light in the darkness. As she drifted toward sleep, she thought of the possibilities. Maybe survival didn't have to mean enduring alone. Maybe with someone like Aaron, the world could feel a little less cruel. Maybe she could finally have a chance at something better. And somewhere deep inside, she felt a determination rising. She had survived this long on courage and wit. Now with Aaron by her side, perhaps she could not only survive, but also find a life worth living. The city slept uneasily beneath the dark clouds, unaware that a new alliance had formed within its crumbling streets. A bond that could change not only Lyra's fate, but the fate of many who suffered in silence. The morning sun broke through the thick clouds over Krython, casting a dim orange glow over the city's jagged skyline. Lyra stirred from her light sleep, careful not to wake Aaron. He had rested on the small makeshift bed she had prepared, his uniform torn and dirt-streaked, but his breathing was steady. For the first time in weeks, Lyra felt a small weight lifted from her chest. She wasn't completely alone anymore. She quietly gathered a few scraps of food she had saved, a piece of hardened bread, and a small pouch of dried fruit. She knew Aaron needed strength to recover, so she gently nudged him awake. Morning, she whispered. You need to eat. Aaron's eyes opened slowly, revealing their calm gray color. Morning, he said, voice low and tired. You've been taking care of me? Lyra shrugged, trying to appear casual. I didn't want you to starve while you healed. He smiled faintly, a warmth in his expression that made Lyra feel oddly safe. I appreciate it, he said. Not many people would do that, especially not in this city. After a quiet breakfast, Aaron tested his leg again. It still throbbed with pain, but he could stand with support. Lyra offered him her arm, guiding him through the narrow streets toward the outskirts of the city, where she hoped to find supplies. She moved with confidence, knowing the hidden alleys and back streets, avoiding the main roads patrolled by alien enforcers. "You know this city well," Aaron remarked. "Most humans would get lost in minutes." Lyra smiled, a touch of pride in her expression. "You have to know your streets if you want to survive here, or you won't last a week." As they moved, Lyra pointed out areas where the poorest citizens lived. Families huddled in makeshift shelters, children running barefoot through dusty streets, and merchants trying to trade what little they had. The scene reminded Aaron of the stories he had heard about Chthon's suffering, but seeing it firsthand was something else entirely. "This city, it's worse than I imagined," he said quietly. "But it's not hopeless. Not if people like you exist." Lyra shook her head, brushing dust from her hands. "I'm not special. I just survive." Aaron looked at her steadily. "Surviving isn't easy. What you do, it takes courage, and that counts for something." They continued toward a small supply depot that had been abandoned after a mining accident. Lyra knew the building well. She had scavenged there before, though it was risky. She glanced at Aaron, gauging his strength. "We'll need to be careful. The structure isn't stable, and the alien patrols are near." Aaron nodded. "Lead the way," he said, trusting her instinct. Inside, the depot was dark and dusty, with broken machinery scattered across the floor. Lyra's eyes scanned the room, spotting a crate of canned food, a few bottles of clean water, and some medical supplies. "Jackpot," she whispered, relief in her voice. Aaron helped carry the supplies back to their shelter. The small victory filled Lyra with a sense of pride. She was capable, and now she could help someone else besides herself. As they worked, Aaron asked about her life, gently probing without pressure. "My parents," Lyra began, her voice soft. "They died in a mining accident when I was young. After that, corrupt officials took what little we had left. I've been surviving ever since." She paused, looking down at her hands. "It hasn't been easy." Aaron listened without interruption, nodding. "I understand. I've seen my share of hardship too, but I've learned that no matter how dark things seem, there's always a way to fight back." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Fight back?" "Yes," Aaron said firmly. "Not with anger, not with revenge, but with courage, cleverness, and help from those who care. You're not powerless, Lyra. You just haven't seen the full picture yet." Lyra considered his words. For so long she had felt small and insignificant, trapped by the weight of the city and its cruelty. But Aaron's presence made her feel that maybe, just maybe, she could make a difference. That evening, while they were organizing the supplies, a distant explosion shook the city. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the faint sound of alarms echoed through the streets. Lyra froze, her heart racing. "What was that?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. Aaron stood quickly, scanning the city from a small broken window. "Patrols," he said grimly. "The alien authorities are stepping up. They might suspect we've been taking supplies." Lyra bit her lip. "What do we do?" Aaron took a deep breath. "We stay calm. We hide the supplies and we help anyone we can along the way. We can't let fear control us." Lyra nodded, trusting his judgment. Together they secured the depot, hiding valuable supplies in hidden corners and covering their tracks. Then, as night fell, they moved through the city quietly, helping a family trapped by rubble from the earlier tremor. Lyra led the way, showing Aaron how to lift beams safely and clear paths. By the time they returned to their shelter, both were exhausted, but a sense of accomplishment lingered in the air. Lyra realized that for the first time she wasn't just surviving, she was helping others survive too. Aaron noticed the change in her. "You did well today," he said softly. "You're making a difference." Lyra looked down, hesitant to accept praise. "It's not much, just small things." "Small things can change everything," Aaron replied. "Sometimes it's the smallest actions that give people hope." Over the next few days, Lyra and Aaron worked together, sneaking through the city to distribute food and medical supplies. Each success strengthened their trust in each other. Lyra began to feel a sense of purpose, something she had not known since her parents died. She realized that survival wasn't just about enduring hardships, it was about protecting and helping others. One evening, as they rested on the roof of a half-collapsed building, Aaron looked out over the city. "The aliens think they control everything," he said quietly, "but they don't understand the power of hope, courage, and human ingenuity. And that's why people like you matter. Lyra turned to him, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in years. I want to help, she said firmly. I don't want to be helpless anymore. Aaron smiled. Good. We'll start small, but we'll make a plan. One step at a time, we'll show the city that oppression isn't unstoppable. The two of them stayed on the roof, watching the city lights flicker through the thick clouds. Despite the danger, Lyra felt something she hadn't felt in years: hope. She wasn't alone. She had someone who believed in her, someone who showed her that even in a harsh world, courage and kindness could survive. Aaron glanced at her, noticing the determination in her eyes. You're stronger than you know, he said, and you'll need that strength for what comes next. Lyra nodded, her heart steadying. She didn't fully understand what lay ahead, but she knew one thing. With Aaron by her side, she could face it. She could fight back against the city's cruelty, protect those who couldn't protect themselves, and maybe, just maybe, build a life worth living. That night, as they rested, the city seemed a little less frightening. Lyra lay awake for a while, thinking about the possibilities. She had survived so much, and yet, for the first time, she felt a spark of something greater than fear. She felt a spark of hope, a hope that would not be easily extinguished. And somewhere deep inside, she knew that their small acts of courage were only the beginning. Together, Lyra and Aaron could change the lives of many, and perhaps even the fate of Krython itself. The city of Krython had changed. Streets that had once been filled with fear and silence now carried whispers of hope. Citizens moved carefully but confidently, helping each other, sharing food and resources, and looking out for those in need. Lyra stood on a high rooftop overlooking the city she had once thought hopeless. Her chest swelled with a mixture of pride and determination. Beside her, Aaron adjusted his armor, now clean and repaired. You've done an amazing job, he said quietly. Look at them, all of them. They're no longer afraid. Lyra shook her head slightly, smiling faintly. I didn't do this alone. You helped me, taught me, and gave me courage. And the citizens. They all played a part. I just led them a little. Aaron chuckled softly. Leadership isn't just about being in front. It's about inspiring others to act, to believe in themselves. That's what you've done. That's why they follow you. Their calm was interrupted by a distant alarm. Alien enforcers had discovered some of the small resistance groups that had formed and were moving to regain control. The city, which had begun to breathe freely, was now at risk again. Aaron turned to Lyra. We need a plan. We can't let them crush what we've built. Lyra nodded, scanning the city. She had spent weeks learning every street, every alley, every weak point in the enforcers' patrol patterns. We'll split into groups, she said. We distract them, lead them away from the civilians, and protect the families. We keep them busy long enough for the city to organize itself. Aaron smiled faintly. Sounds risky, but with you leading, I believe it can work. The two of them moved swiftly through the city, coordinating small groups of volunteers and citizens who had quietly joined the cause. They placed themselves at critical points: rooftops, hidden passages, and secure vantage points. Citizens armed with tools, ropes, and small makeshift weapons waited patiently, trusting in Lyra's guidance. Soon, the alien enforcers arrived, their armored forms casting long shadows over the streets. They moved quickly, expecting compliance and fear. Instead, they were met with resistance, calculated, clever, and coordinated. Lyra led a group down a side alley, creating a diversion while Aaron guided another team toward the supply depot to secure resources. The enforcers, unfamiliar with the city's hidden paths, found themselves repeatedly outmaneuvered. Citizens blocked key streets, toppled crates to create obstacles, and used clever traps to slow the patrols. From a rooftop, Lyra watched the chaos unfold below. Her heart raced, but she remained calm, issuing instructions quietly and confidently. Move left. Block the alley. Guide them toward the open square. Aaron appeared beside her, signaling that his group had successfully redirected a large patrol. They're starting to realize this isn't going to be easy, he said. Lyra nodded, her eyes scanning the streets. Good, keep them busy. We need to protect the civilians above all. The battle of wits and courage continued through the night. Lyra's group ensured that families remained safe, guiding them through hidden paths and sheltering them in secure locations. Citizens who had once lived in fear now worked together, moving with purpose and unity. Every small success boosted their confidence and weakened the enforcers' authority. By midnight, The alien patrols were exhausted and frustrated. Their control over the city was slipping. Lyra and Aaron regrouped at the central plaza, where a small crowd of volunteers awaited them. Cheers erupted as people realized they had defended their homes successfully. Lyra's chest swelled with emotion. She had never imagined she could feel this proud or this alive. "Look at them," she whispered to Aaron. They believed in themselves. They believed in hope. Aaron smiled, a rare moment of relief in his usually serious demeanor. "And they believed in you," he said. "Your courage gave them that belief." The alien authorities, realizing that brute force alone could not regain control, began to retreat. Patrols were withdrawn, and their leaders issued orders to consolidate power elsewhere. The citizens of Crithon, led by Lyra and guided by Aaron, had reclaimed their city without a single major injury. As dawn broke over the horizon, the first rays of sunlight touched the streets, casting a golden glow over the battered but resilient city. Citizens emerged from hiding, helping one another rebuild and repair. Children ran freely through the streets, laughing and playing, a sound Lyra had almost forgotten. Aaron stood beside her, looking out over the city. "You did it," he said softly. "You've given this city back to its people." Lyra smiled, her eyes bright with tears she refused to shed. "We did it," she corrected. "I couldn't have done it alone. You didn't just save me, Aaron, you saved all of us." The days that followed were filled with rebuilding and renewal. Citizens repaired homes, cleared rubble, and restored basic services. Lyra and Aaron worked alongside them, offering guidance, strategy, and support. Trust between humans and citizens grew, and slowly, the city transformed from a place of despair into a beacon of hope. One afternoon, as they walked through the central market, Lyra noticed something extraordinary. Merchants who had once hidden their goods now displayed them proudly. Children ran with kites they had made from scraps, and families shared meals openly. The city was alive, thriving, and vibrant. Lyra turned to Aaron. "I never thought I'd see something like this here." Aaron nodded. "You've changed everything. The city was waiting for someone to lead them, and you did it. Humanity, your courage, your hope, it inspired them." Lyra smiled faintly. "And you showed me that humans can make a difference even in a world so far from home." Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. "We make a difference together," he said. "That's how hope grows, one act at a time, with courage and teamwork." As the sun set that evening, Lyra and Aaron climbed to the highest rooftop in the city. Below them, lights flickered on in every home. The streets, once silent and dangerous, were filled with movement, laughter, and life. Lyra breathed deeply, feeling a sense of fulfillment she had never known. This is everything I hoped for," she whispered. Aaron looked at her, eyes filled with pride. "And it's only the beginning. There's still work to be done, but now the citizens can take charge. They have the courage and they have hope." For the first time in her life, Lyra felt truly free. She was no longer the poor, hopeless girl wandering the streets. She was a leader, a symbol of resilience and a beacon of hope for Crithon. The city had been reborn, and with it a brighter future awaited. As night fell, Lyra and Aaron sat quietly, watching over the city they had helped protect. The stars above shone brightly, distant but constant, a reminder that no matter how dark a world might seem, light and courage could always break through. Lyra leaned slightly against Aaron, a silent gesture of trust and gratitude. She had found strength, friendship, and purpose in a world that had once tried to crush her. Now, with courage, hope, and the human spirit guiding them, she knew that Crithon would never return to fear. Together, they watched the city sleep peacefully, ready to face whatever challenges might come next. But for now, they had won, not just survival, but a chance to live, to thrive, and to inspire others. The story of Lyra and Aaron had become a legend in the city, proof that even in the darkest worlds, humanity could shine brightest. And as they looked at the horizon, they knew one truth above all. Hope, courage, and determination were stronger than fear, and the future belonged to those willing to fight for it. The days that followed brought both hope and danger. Lyra and Aaron moved through the streets of Crithon with increasing confidence. They had begun to build a network, small groups of citizens willing to help each other. Some brought food from their homes, others shared tools or knowledge of hidden paths. Lyra's courage inspired them, and Aaron's strategic mind ensured that every move they made minimized risk. One afternoon, as they distributed supplies near a residential sector, A group of alien enforcers appeared on the horizon. Their tall, armored figures moved with precision, scanning the streets for any sign of resistance. Lyra's heart raced. She had seen these enforcers before, brutal, relentless, and often deadly. Aaron grabbed her arm gently. "Stay calm. We know these streets better than they do." Lyra nodded, her mind racing. She remembered the hidden alleyways, the overturned crates, the secret staircases that led to safe corners. Together they slipped into a narrow passage, moving silently as the enforcers passed by. Their armor clanged slightly, but the sound didn't give them away. Once they were out of sight, Aaron exhaled slowly. "That was close," he said. "But you handled it well." Lyra managed a weak smile. "I've had to be quick all my life," she replied. "This city teaches you or it kills you." Aaron studied her. "And now it will teach others too. You're going to show them that they don't have to live in fear." Over the next few days, their small victories grew. Lyra and Aaron coordinated secret deliveries of food, medical supplies, and messages of hope. They helped repair broken homes, guided children away from dangerous zones, and quietly sabotaged some of the alien machinery used to enforce oppression. The citizens began to notice a change. The quiet acts of defiance brought a new sense of courage. One evening, Aaron and Lyra climbed to the roof of a partially ruined building to observe the city. The sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and purple. Below, the streets seemed calmer, almost alive with cautious optimism. "Do you see that?" Aaron said, pointing toward a group of children playing near a fountain. "They're laughing. They feel safe enough to laugh. That's what we're building. Hope." Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. "I never thought I'd see something like that here." Aaron nodded. "It's a start. One day we'll expand this hope to the entire city." But the alien authorities were not idle. Reports of missing supplies and small acts of defiance had reached their leaders. Enforcers increased patrols, and rumors of a mysterious human soldier aiding the oppressed began to circulate. Lyra felt the tension rising with each passing day. One afternoon, while gathering supplies with Aaron, they encountered a patrol directly in their path. The enforcers' glowing eyes scanned the street, weapons at the ready. Lyra froze. She had no escape route in this wide-open street. Aaron grabbed her hand. "Follow my lead," he whispered. He moved forward confidently, showing no fear, and spoke loudly to draw attention to himself. "Over here!" The enforcer's attention shifted entirely to Aaron. Using the distraction, Lyra slipped into a narrow side alley, her heart pounding. She peeked back to see Aaron using his agility and human combat training to evade capture, leading the patrol away from the civilians. When the enforcers finally realized they had been outmaneuvered, Aaron was already back at Lyra's side, breathing heavily but smiling. "See? Nothing they do can stop us if we stay smart and work together." Lyra shook her head in disbelief, a mix of relief and admiration filling her chest. "You're fearless," she said softly. Aaron's smile faded slightly. "I'm careful, not fearless. Courage is knowing the risk and still choosing to act. That's what you're learning too, Lyra. And you're getting better every day." The bond between them strengthened, built on trust, shared danger, and mutual respect. Lyra felt a sense of purpose she had never known. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving, she was fighting for a future. And Aaron, seeing her transformation, felt hope as well. Humanity, he thought, could inspire even the most oppressed to rise. That night, they planned their next move. Lyra spread a map of the city on a table, marking key areas where citizens needed help the most. Aaron suggested ways to improve supply routes, hide caches of food, and coordinate efforts without drawing attention. "This is bigger than just surviving," Aaron said. "We can give the city a chance to fight back without fighting directly. Smart strategy and careful planning will protect people and weaken the alien authority slowly." Lyra traced the lines of the map with her finger. "I like this plan. We can't take them head on, not yet, but we can show people that they don't have to obey blindly." Aaron nodded. "Exactly. Small victories. Every act of help, every risk you take sends a message. Courage spreads faster than fear if people see it working." Over the next week, they executed their plan. They repaired water lines secretly, left messages of hope in hidden spots, and redistributed resources to families most in need. Word began to spread of a human soldier helping the oppressed, and citizens whispered about a girl who seemed to appear wherever help was needed. One evening, while moving supplies, Lyra noticed a small group of young adults following them from a distance. She paused, unsure of their intentions. Aaron put a hand on her shoulder. "Let them follow," he said. "We'll see what they want. Maybe they want to help." The young adults approached cautiously, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Lyra spoke first. "Who are you?" A young man stepped forward. "We've been watching, and we want to help. We know the city, we know the alleys. We want to make a difference, too." Lyra exchanged a glance with Aaron. He nodded. "Then you're welcome to join us," he said. "But understand this, it's dangerous. We work carefully and we look out for each other." The group nodded eagerly. For the first time, Lyra felt the strength of a small community forming around her. She realized that courage could be contagious, that people could inspire each other to rise against oppression. As days passed, more citizens quietly joined their efforts. Each success, no matter how small, emboldened them further. They cleared rubble, delivered supplies, and spread messages of hope. The alien enforcers noticed the shift. Citizens were no longer silent, obedient, or afraid. They were beginning to resist, subtly but persistently. One night, Lyra and Aaron sat on the roof overlooking the city. The streets below were alive with movement, citizens helping each other, sharing resources, and speaking quietly about their plans. Lyra marveled at the transformation. "It's happening," she whispered. "The city. It's changing." Aaron looked at her, pride evident in his expression. "You're changing it, Lyra, your courage, your determination. You've shown people that they're not powerless. That's what makes you special." Lyra smiled faintly. "I never thought I could be someone like that. I was just surviving." Aaron shook his head. "Surviving is only the first step. Thriving, leading, inspiring others, that's where true courage lies. And you're doing all of it." The bond between them grew stronger, built not only on shared danger but also on shared vision. Together they were not just surviving, they were lighting the first sparks of rebellion, proving that even in the darkest places humanity's courage and ingenuity could shine. The city of Krython had begun to awaken. And Lyra, once poor and hopeless, had become a symbol of resilience, hope, and change. With Aaron by her side, she knew that the future, though uncertain, was now something they could shape together.